This girl has the ability to see red threads on each person's head. Like the girl next door who only has one strand, her uncle has countless falter limbs. The girl on the opposite side had dozens of threads on her head. Even watching TV, she saw red threads on the actor's head. It is the thread that connects people who have done it together. Since childhood, the Hoop has been able to see these threads. But she didn't understand what they meant, innocently drawing two threads connecting her father with her mother and aunt. Her mother saw and guessed everything, and so she went crazy and begged her father to fly thin. Sin Hoop accidentally witnessed that terrible scene. She gradually understood what the red threads meant and that they could fall off. Since then, she has chosen to be silent and withdrawn, all day long just lulling in the house, avoiding all contact with humans. Even the windows are tightly sealed. She had even tried to log out of the earth many times, but somehow she didn't succeed every time. It seemed that there was some force that wanted her to survive. This year he is 20 years old, but he is still completely lonely. She decided to study to the end to find out who created the red threads and what the purpose was. Could anyone else see them besides her? And most importantly, how to remove this vow. Outside at this time, a neighbor across the house stopped by, giving some things because the two had windows opposite each other. At her age, she was a person who was afraid to socialize, only waiting for her neighbor to leave before she dared to go out to get people's gifts and devour vermicelli. At the police station, the police officer looked so handsome. But he knows how to take advantage of his beauty to be able to do that with other married women. Every age is preparing to have sex this time, when he suddenly thinks of something to do, so he is also sunburned. And the grandson of the police officer at school was bullied by his classmates. It was like a sandbag that constantly cost her money. Not to mention that just because Sana reported to the police, that little bully was so threatening that he would give her a lifetime of memories. Currently, the Han police are investigating a case in which the neighbor opposite the brother's house was murdered. According to the investigation of the female inspector, a man wearing a helmet stopped by in the morning. Regarding the police station, Han did not know what his motive was when there was no sign of matchmaking. And the victim is not a person who often goes to commit crimes. Brother Hut's life remained so simple until she received a bag of apples with the letter inside. With the message of the third woman in the area, the murder occurred. She didn't care much, but still ate the apple. Listened to the news about the number 3 murder case in this mountainous area. But what she noticed was the man who had a red thread on his head. So at night, she didn't go out the door to watch, but she found that the delivery person was the same as on TV. He quickly took out the iPhone 6 and every time he ran out of battery. So she plugged in the charger and was worried that there would be another murder in the house opposite. When the other man arrived, it was also time for her phone to turn on the battery. She had just called the police when she only saw these two people rushing to make love to each other. It turned out that she had fantasized that this person was a murderer on TV. It's just a person who is having an affair with someone else's woman. Now she noticed. The red thread on each person's head is actually the number of people that this person has had an affair with. Now she understood why her mother killed her father that year, just because she saw the red thread connected to her daughter's thread. The police returned home after the night shift and saw that his niece was not going to school. Just seeing that he asked for money, he was curious and approached his niece to take a look. Seeing the little girl full of wounds, he realized that this niece was being bullied at school. "What do you need money for like this?" "I was having a headache because of my niece when I called to inform him." In the opposite house, there was a phone call to report the crime from last night. He immediately went to the opposite side of Brother Ho's house to ask, "Did she call last night to report the crime when she saw the police?" On his head grew red threads that had slept with countless people. But the neighbor reported that she was an autistic person who only knew how to lock herself in her room. Even when it comes to throwing garbage on your behalf, someone needs to throw it away. Brother Han still didn't give up trying to ask Brother Ho how the incident was yesterday. She just said that she just looked at it wrong and reported the crime. At night, a man in delivery clothes came to Brother Hop's house. It was like this person was different from last night in that there was only a red thread on his head, and he even looked directly at her house through his eyes. Meanwhile, the little girl was Sun, because she was not given money by her uncle. She immediately noticed a woman who had just gone to withdraw money and aimed at her. But just as I was preparing to take action, a group of people accidentally passed by, making it impossible for her to take the money she was about to rob. At the police station, the younger brother told DGUC that the recent cases. It seems to be related to a man in apartment 303. I don't know if it's an acquaintance who is very close to the two murdered women, Not to mention exercising in the same gym as victim number 2. DGUC curiously asked about the photo, but he immediately recognized that it was the same person in the same court as Brother Ho. His ability to grasp the route of the women in this area cannot be ignored easily. A phone call came to Brother Ho, so he had to stop at a place first and drive straight to the hospital. The nurse panicked and said that the nurse had just arrived, but the patient had already run away in pain. But as soon as he ran up to the nobles, he saw that his family was preparing to commit suicide. He didn't have any further reaction, as if he was expecting more. And the younger brother went to the house of victim number 2. Check if there is something wrong without knowing that you are in danger. He had just called the move back when he was beaten to death by the name of the 303 family holding a flowing ball stick. The feverish noises occurred continuously, causing Diju to quickly step on the accelerator and drive away. But it was too late. It turned out that the person who delivered the murderous clothes recently was the lean man in room 303. Hearing the sound of footsteps slowly coming down, he was about to hurry up and report to the police just in time for the phone to run out. She saw that his red thread was connecting to the room above. She immediately picked up the knife, and for the first time in several decades, she walked out of the house and her body trembled slightly. Like that, she didn't have the strength to continue walking towards the man on the other side. After being unconscious for a while, he met his mother again, who had stabbed her father to death just because he had harmed his daughter. Unexpectedly, the name in House 303 was a person who could see the red thread on the head of the person he was going to kill. At first glance, it seems that the two of them are a couple and the wife has gone through with a lot of men. He hated the people who passed through the hands of so many people that he wanted to kill them all. Until you ran over with a weak and trembling body. The murderer asked her what she could do if she was trembling like this. If you want to stab, you have to do this. He poked her in the stomach and then rolled to the ground. Just when Digu ran back to the place, he discovered his glasses. And the 303 continued to kill people with threads linked to him. Dee rushed back to her room, only to see threads scattered around in her room. Looking up, he saw that, on the other side of the murderer he had recently met was assaulting 2 women. Without thinking much, he immediately pulled out the gun and started watching. When he tried to stab the name of the 303 house in the leg once, I was ready to shoot him a shot to send him back to worship him. When he died, he realized that the red thread had disappeared and from now on he would also be freed from this obsession. This surprised him even more when he knew that there was another person besides him who also knew about that red thread. Diu returned the glasses to her. She could only look at the person who had the same fate as her. Her face was emotionless. Ask about the identity of the man just now. Coincidentally, at this time, Sun's grandson had just returned home. After returning home, Digu asked her grandson to tell her what she had encountered at school. Sana didn't want to because he couldn't solve anything for her. I never cared about teaching life. However, there is one thing that makes Sana wonder. Why is that little girl outside the house? Sana knew that when she was a child, her mother killed her father and ran away. And you were shocked after knowing that that red thread could save people. She immediately began to take off her glasses, facing the countless threads in this world. According to statistics on Korea, considering the number of teenagers who have had sex is estimated to be around 170,000 people. But are there really only 170,000 people when a bullied person like Sunay is also a victim among them? The next day he also received a message saying, I can also see the world you see. Go to Bandu High School, see this message and after saving people. Huin Hut also decided to change himself and started cleaning the house. The little girl who goes to school as usual is still bullied. Even her love letter was dragged out as a joke by her classmates. That's why Sun A continued to be beaten mercilessly by those students. Only when the teacher entered the classroom stopped and tore the love letter in front of the whole group. But for some reason, only Sun A was the one who was called up for criticism. But she just wants to go home, not study. When she returned to class, Sun A discovered a pair of glasses in her personal closet. Couldn't help but make her curious. Fortunately, the brother at the police station on this side is still alive after the case of the perpetrator of House 303. Although the perpetrator was caught, DGUC still felt that something was wrong. Aren't all cases directed at women? So to investigate further, Digu went to the house where the murderer had ambushed his brother to investigate. Only red lines were visible on the walls like dense threads on the walls. The current son, a girl, has also discovered that there is an untouchable thread on her head. She looked at her uncle and saw countless threads on his head. Through fear, the girl ran away from home and went out. Everywhere she went, she saw that everyone had at least one connecting thread on everyone's head. They are as dense as a network at a power pole near my house. The next day, Sun-ae didn't even bother to get into his uncle's car just because there were a lot of red threads on his head. Thinking that she had some kind of superpower, she went to school, and she began to feel confident, replacing someone with a thread and someone who didn't make her quite curious. She also realized that those who had this thread on their heads were the number of people they had slept with. Seeing that my child hated having a link to the teacher's room, Sun-ae was curious to try. It was indeed possible that these two people had something to do with each other. But what is more surprising behind the scenes is that the fraternal friend after a while has also decided to go back to school. For each crime, she still has some communication problems, so she can't say a word about herself at the police station. D is curious about the profile of the recent perpetrator Oh Jong-min, so he started searching for information from the warehouse files after discovering that he was a teacher at a high school. He immediately went to his niece's school to try to ask if anyone knew anything about this person. Coincidentally, the homeroom teacher of Class A was here again. After asking for a while, the homeroom teacher only knew that he had only taught math here. And at that time he had never worn glasses like in the case just now. The teacher was also a little surprised to learn that this person was a murderer. Sun-ae was also bullied by her classmates at the moment. However, she didn't want to suffer any more battles, and bluntly called out to bully her, not to touch her. Just because Sun-ae grasped this child's weakness, he didn't know about it. Quinn Hao also didn't want to see Sun-ae being bullied. She also stopped herself and was naturally involved in this school violence. Even when threatened, she tried to drag the bully along as much as she could to scare her. When he was about to leave, the teacher asked him if he wanted to visit Sun-ae, but he directly refused. He went on to a bar to investigate more about the name Oh Jong-min. The bartender said that the person in the photo is a regular customer who often frequents the restaurant. Recently, there has been a slight change when he often talks and then acts alone. The bartender said he was counting the numbers, then finally got into a fight with another guest. The last thing the bartender told Daegu was that he also wore glasses. A curious woman at this time also had someone who used a notebook and then dragged her to follow her. Sun-ae, after returning, she followed the bullying child with a rope connected to the teacher and saw the two of them going into the motel together. She seemed to affirm that this rope was what proved whether these two people slept together or not. So she used that photo to intimidate her classmates. Every time she sinned, she still clung to the teacher, asking what would happen to both of them if they were discovered. The teacher just held the goat with his teeth together, so why don't you do the dance first? The next day at the school, the teacher started to gossip about some people who had sex with the students recently. When the literature teacher opened the phone, he panicked when he found out that he had been discovered. Until the homeroom teacher asked curiously, the teacher recovered a little. However, he still couldn't help but worry because he was blackmailed up to 20 million won. The two friends, Sun-ae and Brother Hop, began to get along. And the teacher with his teeth was worried about what they should do now when Sun-ae sent a photo to extort money. He was mad just because the two of them were found out together. Although she didn't care much, she began to feel afraid when facing her classmates, even teachers. He was extremely shocked when he saw the photos taken secretly of himself howling with female students in school. Sun-ae is like a worm since she has a new superpower, always on the side, enjoying watching couples argue like that. It's her hobby. Brother Ho only realized when did he wear glasses. Sun-ae said that she was just getting worse, but she couldn't hide her brother's suspicion that she also knew about those threads. Brother Hop began to talk about how many people had enough threads for Sun-ae to believe her words. As for Sun-ae's glasses, she said that she found them in her closet. Someone had left it in there, so she just took it away. Quinn Hop told about a recent case near her house, but Sun-ae didn't care much, no matter who these glasses belonged to. And the teacher was wild about the recent incident denounced by Sun-ae. He asked the homeroom teacher but did not know any information. On the way home, Brother Ho asked Sun-ae if she would keep the glasses. Sun-ae wants the people who bullied her to suffer a proper punishment. In the evening, Sun-ae was preparing to have sex with her boyfriend when she received a message calling her to the rooftop. Just go up there and you will definitely get 20 million won. So to celebrate the upcoming money, Sun-ae didn't know that she was being watched by her teeth behind. From the moment the two talked about Sun-ae's glasses, he was able to see who others were associated with. He had mixed the glasses that could see the red thread. She just realized that it turned out that Sun A had always looked at people with this thing for a long time. Because of the loss of the glasses, Sun A began to get angry and called Brother Ho to let him know that he had lost the glasses that could see other people's relationships. Running out of options, she could only run to the rooftop where she had made an appointment with the teacher to see it. Although he lost his glasses, at least he had money to spend it. The teacher kept begging Sun A to tell him that he was about to give birth to a second child, and he really had no money. Or as long as she deletes the photo, the teacher will agree with her. Suddenly, he received a message. His wife knew about the incident of him going out as a student, so she turned around and asked Sun A to send the photo to Mr. He's wife. She was dumbfounded, didn't know what was going on until she ran over, only to see that Sun A was thrown to the death floor right in front of her. After Sun A was taken to the hospital, her uncle immediately ran to follow her and asked her why she was at school at that time. She only knew that Sun A wanted you to go to school at that time. What to do? When he arrived, he only saw that Sun A had fallen from above. Other things you don't know. She assured Uncle Han that Sun A would never commit suicide. The next day, the teacher did not come to school, nor did he answer the phone. The principal scolded them all. How to teach students to log themselves out of school. There is a substance at home. So the physicist rebounded with blood, causing the other teachers to rush into the compartment. When I came to class, I saw that the students were still laughing and joking as usual. Only children or teeth are absent from school. The English teacher heard rumors that he was about to marry his wife. But today another teacher teased when he sent a card. Then he told me that I had no intention of getting married. It turns out that I broke up with my girlfriend. I had to carry a suitcase to my sister's house to stay for a few days. For some reason, the two sisters have not been in touch for many years, so much so that the girl didn't even know who her uncle was. Fortunately, I prepared a stuffed rabbit as a gift to get acquainted with. Actually, in the tumor, I was assigned to stay for a week. After that, I will go to Canada to rebuild my life. He only felt a little awkward when he had to live with his brother who was easy to strange. After the surgery, Suna passed the critical stage, but he was still in a coma and had not regained consciousness. Sister Yu just wished that she could stand up and leave herself like every day. Han is still obsessed with what happened that day. She went to the rooftop to look for clues. Unexpectedly, she met another female student who was also curious about Suna's downstairs incident. It was Jean in 5th grade. She claimed to know Suna very well. She is extremely stubborn. There is no way to post herself all over her head. Moreover, small or toothed children like to fertilize Suna onions every day. At this time, he quit school again. Obviously very suspicious, right? She excitedly reasoned and investigated like a nun. But suddenly appeared on the teacher's desk in the room. He asked Q-Chin if he knew who it belonged to, but she didn't say it clearly. You just keep it and try it on, it seems to suit you very well. When I heard that, I was also curious to try it on. Who is afraid to see red threads on other people's heads? At this moment, the policeman with a red head walked in. Do it in you with all your soul and mind. Then Sister Yu came to ask Q-Chin about the whereabouts of Helong. When he learned that he was missing, he asked again about the boy who took a picture with Suna that day. So Suna's new boyfriend was called up for questioning. Whoever dared this bastard frankly said that he had nothing to do with Suna. It was because he invited me to go out first. I find it interesting. A bullied child suddenly changes his personality 180 degrees. At the coffee shop, we talked for a while and then kissed. I wanted to go further, but it stopped. Then we took a picture and left. But he suddenly ran away like a madman. He seemed to be losing something. Ms. Yu checked the video of the Photoshop. A girl was spotted sneaking up and grabbing Suna's bag. Then I went to the park and disappeared without seeing the heart of the breath. I saw that on my sister's head there was a red thread connected to his head. Of course, by this time he understood what these fibers meant. He suddenly asked about the love story of the inner brother. I heard that I was about to get married, why did I suddenly break up? The sister heard this and hurriedly stopped her. But he still deliberately asked for help. In my heart, I had to tell a heartbreaking story. He used to live with his girlfriend, but just before he got married, one day when I came home early, I caught her and her lover right in bed. Bong Luan frankly comforted that knowing that before marriage was also a blessing for the ancestors. As for the three sisters, their faces fell and drank alcohol continuously when they heard about adultery. After eating, he wanted to make a cigarette, so he took it with him. who is timid when entering the elevator. I saw a red thread on his head leading down to the elevator next to him. So he had a relationship with someone in the same building. After sitting in the wind for a while, the two of them went up by elevator again. The other man clicked the wrong 4th floor, then corrected it to the 10th floor. He had guessed something, but when he didn't notice, he silently clicked on the 4th floor. Sure enough, when the elevator stopped, I saw a red thread on his head that led to an apartment on the 4th floor. Meanwhile, the Australian woman is angry because the head of the department wants to conclude that the case is self-logian, and ordered him to stop the investigation. The school board hates this very much. I understand your mood, but stop closing your eyes and letting it pass. Sister Australia rebounded a painful sentence. If your child is lying there, do you do the same? When she went to school, she was praised by Ms. Q for wearing glasses and being handsome. While he is still silent. In the room, it was discovered that 2 other teachers had an illicit relationship. He immediately asked Q Chin if she knew that an acquaintance was having an affair, what would she do? Q Chin said that he would say it all, see how it would go. The next day, when I came home with my sister, I saw a package delivered to the door. The address is correct, but the name of the consignee is a squirrel. Hearing her sister say that person was in apartment 401, she immediately took it to return it to people. Actually, I had already guessed what this was. He left the bill in front of the door of apartment 401 and stood still in a corner. A little later, a beautiful young girl came home with a pile of branded goods in her hand. It seemed to be talking to the rubber on the phone. When she saw Bien, she immediately brought it into the house. In the mailbox of apartment 401, in addition to the letters addressed to the squirrels, there was also a letter to Guacharin. Today is the day to soothe the mother of the 2 sisters. Elastic is on a long business trip, probably 2 or 3 days to come back. The 2 sisters sat and talked about their families. The 2 had an affair and made his mother suffer too much and then died. Since then, I have been very excited about these things. When she found out that her girlfriend was having an affair, she cried bitterly and apologized to him. Anyway, after living together for 6 years, he should have forgiven. But just looking at her, he remembered his father, who he hated the most in the world. Although I still love my girlfriend very much, I can't see her anymore. The next day, a photo of Mr. One and his teeth was spread online by someone. It is unimaginable that a colleague would do such a thing. Hans's classmates laughed and shouted when he and his friend were caught in the street. That same day, the police found the body of the writer in the car along with a suicide note. In it, he confessed to an improper relationship with his teeth and apologized to his family. He could not confront the insults when this was exposed, so he decided to end his own life. According to the initial judgment, he had been on the bench for at least 3 days. Trio immediately pointed out a suspicious point. Today's photo was just spread online, which means he knew in advance that it would be exposed. There must be someone behind this case. After studying, he invited the class leader to eat with him and was excited. Normally, he always refused, but today he suddenly agreed. Didn't you mean anything by soul-sucking? The class leader just laughed and didn't say anything? Or was there something real? When the 3 people went out, Trio was already waiting, telling him to get into the car. The 9 also madly told this uncle that he dared to kidnap people in the daytime. Do you believe I call the police? Whoever is wary of Australia immediately takes out the police card and shows it to them. Finally, the smoke got into Tria's car. Then I want to ask you about Sun. Why do you think Sun went to school that night? Hansu didn't answer but asked about Sun's glasses. When I find those glasses, they'll tell you everything. Meanwhile, in the tumor, he accidentally saw a rubber blister on the street. So he did not go on a business trip as he told his wife. Trong hurriedly took a taxi to follow. So tonight I had an appointment with Charon at a fancy restaurant. He also generously gave her an expensive necklace. When I saw it all, Lean took the phone and called Bong Chun. He asked so hard that he had to struggle to find a way to cope. But at that moment he walked past the table of the 2 of them. Tia got the hotel room number they booked tonight. In the room, I went to find room 2407. The hot color rises when you see the red threads that are not stitching between the rooms. Bong Bong was waiting for Charon to take a shower when there was a knock on the door. Outside, I was waiting to grab him by the neck. Came to this country but he didn't apologize. But thickly said that this matter is not beneficial to your sister. The teacher in the dark was about to burst into the room. He hurriedly stopped and promised to settle the point. He warned him again and then left in a hurry. The next day he was about to leave for Canada. The sister was forced to break up and even gave him some money. But in my heart, I still wonder when I know that Mr. E has not yet returned. And there was no contact. Trong Yu went to school to pack up his belongings. In Charon's Instagram browsing, seeing that she is still posting new pictures, she is happy as usual. He also showed off the necklace that the elastic ball gave him. But the shock was not over. I felt like I was crazy when I saw her showing off her ultrasound and publicly announcing that she was about to have a baby. He called his sister, but she didn't pick up the phone. Hurriedly running home, he saw that everyone was going down to the red. His sister was driving a car that hit another car repeatedly. In a panic, he rushed over, comfort her that he will solve it all right now. But she only repeated one sentence over and over again. At this time, he arrived at the place. He didn't go hungry to his wife, but ran to iron the little Charin. In a mad mood, he rushed to punch him. Are you still human? Who would stop the other two from running away? At this time, she confessed. That person is not her husband. His name was O.T. Squirrel and he was her husband. He was afraid that his sister would hit his pregnant wife, so he ran back. It is you who is that man's little Tam. It turns out that everyone misunderstood. In the melancholy, my sister was mistaken for her husband. And the numbness in me thought that I wanted to solve it very much with my sister. Painful and humiliated, she was mad and wanted to blow the Charin thin. Through this case, it can be seen that Sline is not ashamed of being afraid only from the body. Understanding correctly also causes human nature, and misunderstanding also leads to disaster. The poorest is my niece. I don't know what will happen from now on. Meanwhile, the Australian sister still reads the writer's suicide letter over and over again. Who wrote a suicide note that was so superficial? Suddenly remembering his niece's case, he rushed home to find out if Suna had left any letters. After a while of searching, he only found one notebook. At this time, the soul was on the way home. Passing by the motel, I saw an announcement to find a receptionist. She took a picture with her phone to contact later. When she arrived in front of the house, the Australian lady was waiting. He took out the notebook and drew the glasses and the red threads on his head. Is this the glasses you mentioned? After all, what will you see when you put it on? After listening to all the stories about the red threads and glasses, the Australian woman still found it too unbelievable. Han thought that someone had taken Suna's glasses, then called her to the rooftop and pushed her down. She didn't know who that person was. It seems that Suna used the fact of seeing the Sline to threaten many people, and the enemy is certainly not few. She suspected that there was not only a pair of glasses, because there had been many strange cases recently. And so the whole world in my eyes is red? Or what do you like to wear sunglasses? I guess my life is also very miserable. But sometimes you can see that the Sline is still lucky. Han sucked into the hospital to visit Suna, and suddenly saw the red thread on her head disappear. The sign of life is also about zero at this moment. The soul was startled and awakened. It turned out to be just a nightmare. Gong 9 and the class leader Jun Shui were very worried when they saw the insecure mental sucking. Even though he went out to play on the weekend, he refused because he was busy working part-time. When Gong Jin asked what she was doing, she hesitated, then mentioned the teaching staff My Song. Meanwhile, My Song is being slapped by a teacher because of a document. There was not a single thread on her head, an old lady who was shabby, or anything so uncomfortable. It turns out that My Song also has a special pair of glasses and sees the Sline. She went back to the table in frustration and died by pressing the stapler repeatedly. For My Song, this teaching work is only temporary. Her real dream is to become an actress. She has a very odd hobby, grows colorful skirts, wears pink wigs, go to the motel to rent a room alone coincidentally. This is also the motel where Han Suc is working as a receptionist. Sun A's case has not progressed. Currently, the most reasonable hypothesis is that the writer pushed Sun A and then repented and logged out himself. Mr. Wen's last phone signal was also at school. But according to his family, he suffers from very severe altitude sickness. Standing in front of a railing pushing someone is impossible. Another possibility is that he pushed Sun A and ran away. Now she is missing. There is no sign of permission to use the card or phone. There was only one thing that Australia was sure of, and that was that Sun A didn't jump down on its own. Something is wrong. Sun A has changed since wearing glasses. The next day, Han-soo was going to work when the other two friends suddenly visited. The palace also asked to go to the room to have a look. Finally, the three of them sat in the small reception room. A little later, a pink-haired girl came to book room 206. I saw that this girl looked familiar but had not thought of who she was. It turned out to be the teacher of my song. As soon as she entered the room, she lay down happily and rolled onto the bed, alone with very strange words. Yes, I've had sex with a lot of men. But after he appeared, relationships with strangers could no longer fill my empty heart. I was terrified that I would never be able to have you. Gong Chin realized that the pink-haired girl was the teaching staff at her school. As for the sucking soul, notice that she only has an slime on her head. My song about my crumbling house. Take off your pink hair and put on your glasses. See the world through the window, a world filled with red threads. Meanwhile, the Australian sister has learned about the background of the horn, knowing that her mother dropped her father and ran away. The 5-year-old girl witnessed the scene with her own eyes, then draw it again with imaginary lines. At that time, it was suspected that she was mentally ill. Ms. Australia asked if she had an slime on her head. The teacher didn't want to answer. I guessed it was. So does the red thread connect to the head of a classmate? Han Suk said who the red thread was connected to. She didn't know, but not classmates. Sister Australia suspected that the person who connected to Sun A had pushed her, even if it's just a possibility. Han Suk to watch TV and saw the news about a very random case. The perpetrator was arrested shortly after committing the crime, but he said he was clean now, and he kept laughing monkeys. The important thing is that he wears glasses. Han sucked and remembered what Sister Australia had said. The teacher deliberately went into the music room, where the chess draw is listening to music alone to relax. She was surprised because he knew her name. The teacher also guessed that her dream was to become an actress. It made her even happier. It felt like he was a cheeky, "It is the destiny of my life." In the mirror, each person has only one slime, but my song imagines that the red thread connects the two of them. After school, the class leader Jun Sun invited his soul to a special place. It was the swimming pool of the swimming team. At this time there was not a shadow of a person. Chun Sun knew that she liked sunny places, so she invited her here. Han sucked and could not swim but jumped into the tank. The clear blue water without a hint of red makes her feel so peaceful and comfortable. I don't even want to come up. Chun Sun was afraid that her friend would drown, so he jumped down in a panic. But it turned out that the soul was unharmed. But I also find today especially happy. After going ashore, Jun Sun Galing put on his clothes to smoke and then the two ate and rested together. He asked curiously how it was just now. Ms. Chun except for a moment before telling. Ever since I was born, I have seen red threads on other people's heads. Like this? Do I have it too? You don't have it, I don't have it, and Miss Chin doesn't either. Although she didn't understand much, Chun Sun still believed her words. I'm weird, isn't I? Yes, he was not ordinary but very cool. That night, the soul kept looking at the coat. Remember the warm action of the sun. Then imagine that there will be a red thread on my head. Turns out that he also knows how to love boys. At that time, a girl did not know what crime to commit and was arrested at the station. As soon as she saw the Australian chief, she immediately greeted happily. It turned out that she still called him, but he didn't pick up the phone. Although he carries a whole tree on his head, he also has his principles. That is not going back and forth with criminals. She was the suspect last time, so it was acceptable. Dong Shi wondered why the Australian branch has not been paired with anyone these days. He said he was curious about a person. His curiosity not wanting to put it to bed. It turned out that person was a proud teacher. She went to the motel again, and booked the familiar 206 room. Han went to clean up, and happened to hear that she was doing the house alone just like the day before. I've had sex with a lot of men. Maybe that's the line she's practicing, because it was obvious that there was only one thread on her head. It turned out that this girl was paranoid with eggs. I was afraid that the noise I made would be heard by everyone. For example, her laughter when she sees the spear. Then she discovered this place, an old motel without a shadow of people during the day. In this room, she found herself completely free. Then one day she saw the glasses on the table. She herself through those glasses was perfect. She later discovered a hole in the wall, so that she could see the couples in the room next to the tent together. Like watching adult movies in 3D mode. For my song, this room is a perfect world of its own. Today I looked through the hole again as usual. My song was startled when she saw the music teacher she had drawn in the next room. The happy, perverted girl watched every smile of her dream lover, until a girl appeared to make her stunned. It was a quite famous actress, apparently the teacher's ex-girlfriend. The two of them rushed into a great battle of 500 postures. Unbeknownst to him, someone in the other room was mad because of the illusion of broken love. After the fun ended, the actress also made an appointment with the teacher tomorrow at this time. The next day, my song came to book room 206. But today she didn't wear a wig and makeup like she always does, make the soul suck a little surprised. My song went to get a fire extinguisher and anesthetic in a water bottle, seemingly with some plan. As soon as the actress appeared, my song took a flat fire extinguisher and knocked her unconscious. Then dragged her into the room, stripped off all her clothes and put them on herself. Then he also put on makeup and drank hair to look like the other girl. Song Sui went straight to room 205, where the music teacher was ready. But unfortunately, he immediately realized that she was my song, not his ex-girlfriend. "What did you come here for?" The perverted girl was close to the teacher, while pouring out the lines that she had practiced countless times. "I've had sex with a lot of men. But after he appeared, having relationships with strangers could no longer fill my empty heart. I was terrified that I would never be able to have him. But life is not like a dream. This madman, that guy impregnated her and was about to leave. Who's cheap, she got mad and threw a stapler at his head. In an instant, he collapsed unconscious. Mi Song happily hugged and kissed his dream lover, thinking that he fainted from the anesthesia. Who would have thought that red blood began to spill out from the back of his head? At this time, she panicked and cried. But then the water was still sucking. Realizing that the thread on his head had not disappeared, she climbed up and she was crazy. The other brother suddenly came to his senses and tried to push her away. But the lashes continued until the thread on his head disappeared completely. It's really perverted to lose the dipping sauce. After finishing work, she soaked in the bathtub. Using a stapler to bleed, he logged himself out of the earth. At this time, the new actress easily rushed out of room 206 to ask for help. "Some crazy guy beat me up and stole my clothes." When the sniffer ran into room 205, it was too late. The music teacher has passed away in a very unjust way. He kissed his eyelashes, but he also flew in the bathtub. But no glasses could be found at the scene. Han said that the two of them only had one spine, but they were not connected. Neither she nor Ms. Australia could understand why she would do these things. But she guessed it had something to do with the glasses she was still wearing. Every time she went to the motel, she was completely different from at school. Perhaps after wearing the glasses, she felt like she had become a special person. Unfortunately, those glasses are extremely dangerous. People who used to wear it all had a bad ending. Sister Australia is determined to find out who is behind these things. The one who harmed Shen lost half of his life. He returned to room 205 and opened the stopper in the bathtub. The water and blood slowly receded, revealing the glasses underneath. Sister Australia picked it up and put it on. Now I saw the old red banana tree on my head. I don't know what he's thinking at this time,